So far we've been dealing with absolute block working. Absolute block means the block section, which is the section of track between the two signal boxes, can only contain one train at any one time. But we do have the goods lines, and those are what are called permissive block working. And the way of signalling trains along them is somewhat different. Permissive block involves trains driving on site and be expecting that there might be a train or an engine in front of the train. And the signalling processes that we use are a little bit different. So we'll show you that by showing you a freight train coming off the goods lines in the down direction and then one going back the other way. So now we're going to show you what happens with the goods train coming on the down goods and the way we signal that. That was one beat on the bell from goods yard. Note that goods yard does not have a block instrument. There's no need for it because it's permissive working. So we'll give him one beat back. And he's offered me a freight train, a 1-4. We accept that train, even though we don't know the state of the block, and it's immediately been sent online. At this point, it's worth remembering that the only record of trains on the goods lines is in the train register book, and therefore it's essential that that's kept up to date and accurate. It's the only way the signalman can remind himself of what's moving. Now we're going to pull off the signals for this freight train. 66 and 63. Now, even though it's a freight train and working at the moment under permissive rules, once it gets onto the main line, it just becomes another train and it's working on absolute block. So the way now that we offer this on is the standard way, calling attention to City Basin. Block instrument goes to line clear. That frees our starter, 122 off. Checking the repeater goes over. We've now set the route up for this freight train and it's now starting to show up and move on. So we'll go across and we'll check, we'll advise City Basin that the train is now online. Being a freight train, typically it'll move slowly and it'll be a long train, and indeed it is by the look of it. And there's the rear of it just clearing the junctions. We can start to restore the signals behind it. Now we'll check that the train's got a tail lamp as it passes us, because if it hasn't got a tail lamp, that means it's left a portion behind. More importantly, City Basin won't see a tail lamp either. So if we're sure we've got a tail lamp, all is good. But note, we don't send train out of section back to Exeter goods yard. That's permissive working. There's no need to send train out of section back on either direction. The train's now gone through past 122, so we'll restore 122. The block section still shows occupied, so we're now waiting until that train has successfully passed City Basin. There it goes, block instrument dropping back to normal. So the differences are, on permissive block working, we describe trains, we don't use block instruments, we just work on bell codes, and we do not send train out of section. The drivers of trains are expected to know that there may be a train in front of them. And if we do have more than one train on section, rather than accepting the train with a normal response, the response will be one beat of the bell. That will indicate to the forwarding signalman that the block is already occupied. He might give the driver of the train a warning, but the driver is expected to understand what's happening anyway. So let's see what happens when a train comes in the opposite direction. An upwards train will be approaching us next. So now we know from the timetable that our next service is a goods train in the up direction, and there's City Basin ringing call attention. We can accept the train because we know that the clearing point is clear. We know our block instrument is normal. We're still working under absolute block conditions, so we can accept the train by sending 1-4 back, turning the block instrument to line clear. Now we've got to advise goods yard of the train's approach. So we call attention. So he's given us line clear. The differences now are that there is no block instrument to go over. Our points are set. So now we can pull the signals off for the train. And note in this instance that 20 doesn't carry a white stripe. There is no block instrument for it to interlock with. So here's the train approaching, just passing City Basin. So we turn the block instrument to train online and wait. So now the goods train is approaching. As it gets closer, we'll alert goods yard that train's entering this section. Again, there is no block instrument to turn over. Now we wait until the train has passed the signal fully, so we don't alarm the guard that there's a hazard on the track in standard absolute block practice. But once the train has got onto permissive lines, we're entitled to replace the signal to danger as soon as the front of the train has passed it. So the train passed number 3 signal. And now it's going round over the junction. We've seen the tail lamp as it's passing the signal box. And we can see that the track circuit has just gone out as it's passed the shed entrance. So our last job is to give train out of section to City Basin. And that is permissive signalling and the difference between permissive working and absolute block working.